thought she left on her own. It's so wonderful feeling to get that out, that she did not leave. And I am so grateful to the Pot County Sheriff's Department and Matt Wilbur, Pot County Attorney, and the Omaha Police Department, and prosecutors, and Anthony Cava for his great work. All of them worked so hard to come to this conclusion. I'm just so thankful. Thank you.
What has the last 5 years been like?
It's been horrid.
Terrible.
Never knowing whether she was really out there or not.
Every time the phone rang,
Or a new Facebook thing came up, or email somebody got. It was just horrifying. And all we could do was to keep her son safe and try and make a normal life for him. It was just such a waste. She had such a good life ahead of her. She missed all of his graduation, everything.
What would you say, or what would you ask Shannon Golyar now that she's been found guilty?
Just why? It's just so unnecessary. She'd have just. Carrie probably would have just gone away anyway. Short times. It's just everything was just needless.
And what's it like to get this piece of closure and get?
Oh,
weight off our shoulders. Absolutely.
definitely. It's a relief to hear her say that she did do that.
Can you talk about what it's been like sitting in that courtroom the last 9 days, listening to all of that?
It's been, it's been brutal at times. It's just no sleep, and it's exhausting, and it's just it was horrid. I mean, nobody should have to go through this. Nobody.
And what did you make of the defense's argument? As they said time and again, there's no proof that Carrie's gone.
All I can think of was there's tons of proof. The prosecutors and the police and the sheriff's department and everybody had so much proof there that you couldn't get past it.
We've been real blessed with all the support too of all our friends that came every day. Have really supported us and given us strength every day. And we thank them so much for being there.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Switch this around real quick. That was Carrie Farber's mother speaking after the verdict here today. Shannon Golyar found guilty not only of first-degree murder, but also of arson in the death of Carrie Farber in 2012, the disappearance. I'm going to get you back over there. This is Carrie's son, Max. Right there. That's Carrie's son, Max, and her grandmother's grandson getting a hug from her grandma for the first time after the verdict read. The judge said overwhelmingly that Carrie did not voluntarily disappear on her own. That was one thing that the defense argued. There was no body, so that there couldn't have been a murder conviction. Is Jim still in there? Hey, is JMD still in there? He left? Okay. Hey, Matt. Sorry, guys, I gotta adjust myself here real quick. Hey, come on here. Hey, Matt. You've been here for a couple of days of the trial. How do you feel about the verdict here today? And I guess all that you guys have gone through on the Potawatomi County stuff.
I couldn't be happier. I was involved in this case on the ground floor, but we initially thought this was a Potawatomi County case, and that's how we were working it. I had to meet him, and I was disappointed when we ultimately learned that the murder took place in Omaha. But I got to say, Brenda and Jim did a phenomenal job. For Jim Doty, Ryan Davis, Tony Cobbett, the Pot County deputies that worked this case, I mean, they can work for another 20 years, and you will probably never see as good a law enforcement work as was done in this case. I just could not be prouder of our sheriffs. And I have some personal, attachment to this case. Max and I, played in the same church praise team for years. I played basketball with my son. I knew Carrie in high school, and I go to church with, with the Rings. I mean, I've got some personal reasons to be attached to this case. Could not be happier with the work. I hope this gives him some peace, just more closure.
Explain your reaction to how this whole case unfolded over the 5 years. Could you ever imagine?
No, initially, the funny thing is, I checked my Facebook profile just last night. I've got one of her fake profiles. As a friend, she's a friend of mine on Facebook, the fake one that the defendant came up with. And that's how, just twisted this was. I kind of, when we started learning about this case, I kind of, referred to it as catfish meets fatal attraction. It's just the most bizarre, set of circumstances. And, the more information we got, especially, it really kind of broke, I think, for us when she shot herself in the leg at Big Lake Park, and we got access. The detectives did a great job. Said, hey, this is a way for us to get into her phone, and and they really, just said, hey, this is we want to help you with this investigation. Let's get into the phone. And once they did that, and that started leading them kind of down the rabbit hole, I was amazed. Tony Cava, he's a special deputy, but he works in our IT department. He's one of the smartest computer guys I know. And just his ability to tie all of that, technical evidence in. This is a tough case, maybe forensically, but I think the digital evidence was just overwhelming. So, could not be prouder of the work that the guys did on this case.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate your time here today. Again, that was Matt Wilbur, the county attorney in the Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office. He said he's not only, he's a person who, kind of oversaw the case in Potawatomi County, helped investigate it somewhat, but now, he had a personal connection with Carrie Farver as well as Max Farver as well. We're going to head over and try to get some sound. James Martin, the attorney here, in a second when we get on the side of him. Hey, Jim, we didn't get a chance to your reaction to the verdict here today.
Well, I just told the others that this is what the prosecutors to be congratulated. This is one of the most powerful and professional, brilliant prosecutions involving circumstantial evidence that I've ever seen. They did an amazing job because initially I thought because there was no body there, the case was weak. But when they assembled all that circumstantial evidence, that reasonable theory of innocence was erased by that reasonable theory of guilt, and then that's what the judge so found.
Do you think it was the overwhelming number of harassing emails, or
it's just
the photos too? The photos of
I think it was all that put together. It was almost seamless, and that was a very well done presentation. You got to roll.
Thanks, Jim. And that was James Martin Davis, the defense for Shanna Golyar. The sentencing date, it was announced. I wrote it down. I am not exactly sure what it was. I'm pretty sure it is in August, but again, I'm not 100% sure. You're seeing some family and friends, as well as courthouse personnel, Potawatomi County personnel as well here. Just talked to, sorry about that. Just talked to Potawatomi County Attorney Matt Wilbur, who again, he has a connection to the Farver family, knows her son Max, as well as went to high school with her. Also, was involved in the case in the beginning as well because of how it started in Potawatomi County, more or less as a missing persons there. Carrie Farver's mother reported her missing in Potawatomi County since she lived in Macedonia. About 200 people that live in Macedonia. We had a number of them showing up out here, family and friends out here as well. If you want me to check. Okay, we're resuming. Yes, August 15th will be the sentencing date. August 15th sentencing date. It's unclear exactly how many other possibilities the judge has in terms of if he's got other trials and things along those lines. I see Potawatomi County Sheriff here before. I've also he was on the stand before as well. A number of people out here had taken the stand, as well as Carrie's mother, Carrie's son, Max Farver. They're over there talking to Potawatomi County Attorney Matt Wilbur, which we just did a few minutes ago. There you just heard James Martin Davis, the defense attorney, say that the prosecution did an amazing job of proving that a murder had been committed without even having a body or a murder weapon or a crime scene, anything along those lines. We sat through a number of the days of the 2-week trial. Again, the judge said, one of the very pertinent things that the judge said was that he did not feel that Carrie Farver voluntarily fell off the face of the earth. That was very telling as to how the judge was going to rule. Again, he ruled guilty on first-degree murder and guilty on arson as well, believing that Shanna Golyar actually set her own house on fire and blamed Carrie Farver for it, because she said Carrie had been harassing her and vandalizing her home and property for many years, and more or less continuing the charade by having by using Farver's phone to text not only her family and friends, but also the man that they had both dated, who was Dave Krupa at the time. She continued to text Krupa through Carrie's phone, saying that, more or less having Carrie say, "Oh yeah, I did it. I tried to burn Golyar's house down. I vandalized her place. I vandalized her vehicle." All kinds of things like that. So there's, some of the evidence that was presented in court that helped lead to that guilty verdict. I'm reading through the comments here for a second. Let me kind of go up back to the top and see if there's anything else. Yeah, again, a guilty verdict in the Shanna Golyar case. 41-year-old Shanna Golyar found guilty on those 2 counts. First-degree murder. First-degree murder leads to a mandatory life sentence, so not much question as to what's going to happen in terms of the sentencing coming up on August 15th. Again, it's just been a very busy time out here. A lot of hugs, a lot of tears of joy, tears of satisfaction out here for the Farver family. I wrote a complete kind of synopsis of what happened on this, and I posted. I know a lot of people are asking about what's going on. They need to have a pinned comment that tells us what this is. Well, I mean, right on the thing, I wrote exactly what had happened in terms of a guilty verdict. I don't know why they don't show up, when somebody clicks on the live button, but I wrote three sentences about what exactly had happened and how we're going to have live reaction right here, and we did have that. If you want to go back to the beginning, we talked to Carrie Farver's mother, as well as Potawatomi County Attorney Matt Wilbur, who is close to the case. He did not prosecute the case here because obviously it's in Douglas County, because the murder happened in Douglas County. But that's why he was here, very close to the case, knew Carrie well, knew her from high school, went to and also was in church with their son Max, and also had been investigating with the Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office in the beginning. So that's kind of how he had a connection here. Yes, we still have the death penalty here in Nebraska, but the prosecutors did not file aggregators, from what I understand. Aggregators is what you need to have a death penalty hearing and a possible death penalty sentence. Since they didn't file those aggregators, then they didn't. She will not be eligible for the death penalty, is what we're trying to say there. And that was from Kara, was asking about the death penalty. Yes, Nebraska still has the death penalty. And again, just with the sentencing, judges have sentencing calendars where they sentence people on certain days of the week. Their calendar may be full at certain times, but also a judge may have other trials coming up and things along those lines. This one lasted a whole week, 2 weeks, and 2 days. I'm pretty sure. It started a long time ago. It was at least a full week, and a day past that. So more family and friends of Carrie Farver heading out here. And unless there's anything else, you guys, any other questions you have, we'll probably stop the live broadcast here in a couple of minutes. Again, just to recap, Shanna Golyar, 41 years old, found guilty first-degree murder and second-degree arson in the disappearance 2012 of Carrie Farver. Carrie Farver lived in Macedonia. To take you back to exactly what all had went down. Shanna Golyar had dated a man named Dave Krupa for a couple of weeks, 4 weeks, and Krupa didn't want a long-term relationship. He let her know in the beginning, but she wanted more. Prosecutors called this a twisted case of fatal attraction. County Attorney Matt Wilbur for Potawatomi County said that it was also a catfish situation here because of the 12,000 harassing emails that Golyar sent from numerous fake accounts. Okay, we'll go back. So back in 2012, November of 2012, Carrie Farver starts dating Dave Krupa, and Shanna Golyar gets jealous. She wants him all to herself. So she ends up tracking them down. Prosecutors said that Golyar actually followed Krupa to Carrie's house in Macedonia, and that's where she found out her address, as well as finding out who she was. She starts friend requesting Carrie with one of her fake accounts. Then a day later with her Facebook page, but Carrie denied that request. Apparently a few days later then, Golyar ends up waiting outside of Dave Krupa's house, his apartment, near where Farver worked back in 2012. That was West Corp, and she ends up stabbing her in her own vehicle, dumping her body, and then taking her phone, taking over her Facebook account as well, and texting people from that phone, messaging people from that Facebook account. Apparently just a couple of hours after the county attorney's office says that Carrie Farver went missing and actually was murdered, Carrie Farver's account, her Facebook account, was defriending Dave Krupa, which they found very odd. She also sent a text, supposedly, Carrie Farver supposedly sent a text to her company, West Corp, and said, "I'm quitting, I'm moving to Kansas. Fill my spot with Shanna Golyar," which they thought was very odd, because you can't just fill a person's spot at West Corp with some person that they just grabbed off the streets. Shanna Golyar the next day puts in an application referencing Carrie Farver as her reference. Prosecutors say that that was very odd because the two had only met one time, so why would she be giving her a reference to a job position? But then also, why would she be saying she wants her to take over her position? So they found that odd, but it was very tough for them to prove in the beginning. But Golyar had a hold of Carrie's phone, so she was texting people. She turned up as a missing person just a few days later. Carrie's mother filed that missing persons report in Potawatomi County, but then they were still getting texts. She was still getting texts from her daughter from Carrie Farver's phone, which was, now we find out, the judge has convicted her on first-degree murder, which was Shanna Golyar the whole time. So she would continue to text not only Carrie's mother, but her friends and family, as well as Dave Krupa, to pretend that she was still alive. Dave Krupa received 12,000 harassing emails, texts, and messages from not only Carrie's phone, but also fake email accounts under Carrie's name, some like Carrie Krupa saying that they were married, and claiming that she didn't want him to be with anybody else, so she was willing to do whatever it took to keep her from anybody else. So that was just one of the many ways that the middleman was harassed throughout the 4 years. Also, Golyar was pretending that Carrie Farver was harassing her as well. She said that Carrie Farver keyed her car, vandalized her home, spray painted her home, and in the end, it was actually Golyar who did all that. She had received text messages from Carrie's phone saying that, "Oh yeah, I did it to you, ha ha ha, you can't have Dave, leave him alone, get away from him." Prosecutors say that this was a way for Golyar not only to play the victim, but also get Krupa to come back in her life, because he was being harassed by her and they had something in common, and they dated off and on for a number of years, mostly coming back because of the situation that they were both under, the alleged harassment by Carrie Farver, who hadn't been seen since 2012, yet this harassment went on 2013, 2014, 2015. Krupa testified that the harassment finally stopped in 2016, I believe, when Golyar was actually arrested. Golyar also harassed another woman who had met Krupa on Facebook and threatened to kill her kids, burn her house down, things along those lines. So, I mean, this harassment went on for a number of years. Prosecutors, when they finally started catching on to her, Golyar, even in Big Lake Park in Council Bluffs, said that she was shot in the leg by Krupa's ex-wife, or the woman that he has children with. Well, it turns out it was really fishy, and she shot herself. So just another instance of just bizarre behavior, trying to keep this charade going for many, many years in this case. Well, the judge didn't buy it. Again, he said he believed that Carrie Farver did not voluntarily fall off the face of the earth. So let me think of any other things that I can come up with. Through a number of search warrants, the Omaha Police Department were actually able to put together a lot of this case, because through a number of search warrants and with the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's help, they were able to realize that all of these texts and things were coming from, Shanna Golyar, or in areas where Shanna Golyar lived. Many of the texts coming from Carrie's phone, and where her phone was pinged just shortly, after they started catching on to this, were near Golyar's home in Omaha. So that's one of the ways. They also looked through her phone, a number of tablets, a number of computers and electronic devices. They found a camcorder and a camera in her possession, in Golyar's possession, that were Farver's. When they went through a number of those phones and computers and things, they were finding things on SD cards that were tons of pictures that they had found on these fake Facebook profiles as well as elsewhere. One time, one of the emails sent to Krupa had a knife. It had Carrie's driver's license on it as well. How does someone get a hold of Carrie Farver's driver's license if they had no idea where they were, or if she was harassing people? So it's just a very bizarre case, but a very circumstantial case that the prosecution proved to the judge that it was guilty, first-degree murder, guilt in this case. So I guess, and the investigation continued for such a long time that they even found a tablet in 2017 in possession of Dave Krupa that Golyar had used, and she actually had one of her former SD cards on it. Well, she had reformatted that and deleted all that stuff, but apparently, some pretty smart people who are working as investigators were able to find some very pertinent evidence, including some photos of some tarps, as well as some photos, graphic photos of a possible foot and a possible leg that a medical examiner testified to as they were decaying body parts, but the key things on those were that they had tattoos that matched up to Carrie Farver's tattoos. They actually brought in Carrie Farver's ex-husband, who testified that he had the same tattoos. They had gone to Big Brain in Omaha and they had received these tattoos, and they confirmed that through the records at Big Brain as well. So that's and that was kind of one of the cappers. I mean, those photos in Shanna Golyar's possession, if she was still missing and alive, she probably wouldn't have them. So that's that was the capper. That was found well after she had been arrested, and that, I think, in my opinion, may have sealed the case for the prosecution throughout this. So just a very convoluted situation, but again, prosecutors describe it as a twisted case of fatal attraction, where her obsession was the man in the middle, and she couldn't have him because Carrie started dating him, and this is ultimately what happened. It's very unfortunate, but again, you saw the reaction at the beginning of the video from family and friends who knew Carrie, Carrie's mom talking to us. Just a big relief, especially after 5 years of not knowing, this is the outcome. Again, Carrie Farver, Shanna Golyar, 41-year-old Shanna Golyar, found guilty, first-degree murder and second-degree arson in the death of Carrie Farver, who disappeared back in 2012. We'll have more, we'll have reaction and also hear hear from the judge inside the courtroom coming up on KMTV 3 News Now 4, 5, and 6. Not sure what shows I'm in, but I will find out shortly, and make sure to watch it there. But again, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate all your comments and questions. You know, I do a lot of court, so I you know, try to answer as much as possible. I know it can be a kind of tough thing to follow if you haven't been up here a lot, which, you know, I kind of taught myself how to do all this, so you know, here in the court. So again, thanks for watching, and please watch the shows later, and thanks again.